Hi, my name is John Gross, and my project was laser cutting and acrylic bending. So the first part of my project was making a box with finger joints. Using the MakerCase website made the design really easy. All I had to do was pick the dimensions, and then afterwards there was really no need to adjust the design. What struck me about the execution of the piece, here's a piece of my box here, was how sharp the lines and corners are. I don't know any other tool that could have achieved this small scale cutting as quickly or as sharply. The next part of the project was making a phone stand using acrylic bending. A quick Google search gave me a bunch of ideas, many of which were actually made out of acrylic or a similar plastic, so I knew those ideas were conducive to this material. For this design, printing it out of cardboard first was really helpful in order to find the angles that I wanted, because any way I could bend the cardboard, I believe, could have been translated to the acrylic. When I was bending the actual acrylic piece, I bent the piece from the inside out. Here's my design here, starting with this hook and then working to this one and then this one. And I did it in this order so that I could easily heat up the next joint that I wanted to bend. If I had bent this one first, this one would have been very hard to heat up using the acrylic bending tool. After the fact, when I looked at the design, there were a few artisan defects. The biggest one was this small piece here. After it was heated, I used some needle nose pliers to bend it, and when the piece was hot, it actually gouged the material a little bit. So if I were to do it again, I would use some kind of cylindrical metal piece to bend the plastic around so the bend was much more uniform and the material stayed a nice shape. However, the process itself, I was surprised at how intuitive and simple it was. I was intimidated at first, but afterwards I was confident in my ability to do anything with that tool again. The last part of the project was making the phone stand using a live hinge. I realized my design for acrylic wasn't going to work for the live hinge because each bend in that design had to hold a lot of weight, and the live hinge always is going to want to snap back into a flat piece. So I started with a new design, and each of my new designs, one of which is here, worked really well out of cardboard. But when they were printed in wood, as can be seen by the remnants of that design here, snapped really quickly. So in this case, printing it out of cardboard first wasn't very helpful because the properties of cardboard and wood were just too different in their bending capacity. But over a couple of designs, using several different hinges, I finally landed on the lattice hinge. And this worked really well, not for a small phone because it wasn't as bendable as I hoped it was, but it works really well for holding something larger or like a tablet. Um, Overall, I think the acrylic bending was a much better approach to making these phone stands. The acrylic is much sturdier, and it was much easier to design a phone stand without so many renditions and so much constant testing. And I would use the laser cutter if I needed to cut something generally two-dimensional and possibly complex out of plastic or wood, or in a low-fidelity prototype, cardboard to test a shape. But regardless of the degree of success of my designs, I had never used Illustrator before, and now I'm much more confident in my ability to do so. And I believe I could design something in that software that, now understanding the capabilities and limitations of the laser cutter, I could then cut in the cutter, and then I could bend with the acrylic bending tool. So I'm happy with the skills that I learned in this module.